Hi, I'm Sarah from the upcoming. So lovely to speak to you. Maybe you could just kick off with a brief intro to your film, Sheperd. For people who don't know anything about it, give us a glimpse of what they can expect.
Sheperd is about one guy's spiral into depression and paranoia after the loss of his wife, and it's about making the wrong decision. I remember seeing an advert in The Guardian for job as a shepherd, working alone on an island, and people are like, "Isn't this the ideal escape?" And I'm like, "I'd probably go crazy." And so this is Eric's idea of an escape, but obviously when he has his own psychological demons to deal with, things can go horribly wrong when you have nobody to bounce off.
And was that the initial inspiration then, reading this advert in The Guardian?
Yeah, absolutely. Isolation. I really wanted to make something film about isolation for a long time. Having heard when I was a kid the stories of the Smalls Lighthouse in North Wales. In mid Wales, there's an island off the coast of Wales where two guys went crazy in the late 1700s, early 1800s, which was the inspiration for Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse, which I thought nobody would ever have heard that story and want to make a feature film of it. Lo and behold, we were filming at the same time and had a heart attack. But luckily, his story is pretty accurate to the actual original story. I just removed one of the characters, changed the job, and dealt with isolation that way. But that was certainly one of the main. And growing up in North Wales as well. I mean, you're surrounded by all sorts of beautiful landscapes, so your imagination can go wild.
And talk us through your cast. How did you decide who you're going to have in your film, and how did you work with them to achieve your vision?
Always get a casting director, a really good one. I had a great one in Gemma Sykes, casting of something is like making a potion, and it all has to work, and the chemistry has to be right. And that's where her genius came in, and she found and got people that I wouldn't have even thought of or would have even thought were available or would do it, and particularly the lead role of Eric Black, as played by Tom Hughes, to find an actor who was willing to take on that role and give it as much as Tom gave it. I mean, that's a stroke of genius from Gemma, and hats off to Tom. He's really eaten up that role and done an incredible job. And I think without that, the film wouldn't have worked.
And what about the process of filming it? In the Great British Outdoors, what were some of the challenges, some of the highlights?
I'm one of those directors that people always say I've got the weather gods on my side, because I always say I want to film outdoors, and be like, no, and then we're always really lucky when we turn up. And filming in the northwest of Scotland in February and March is never a good idea outside. But I really wanted to do it, even if the weather was horrific. And actually, funny enough, it was quite nice for most of it. A little bit of wind and drizzle, but it was actually spot on, and it was really important to have that feeling of cold and dread and exposure, because the script is absolutely layered in that anyway, and the stories and the characters in for example, the mother's attitude towards her son, to actually just told everybody, wrap up, get ready for all weathers, and let's just do it regardless, and that's what gives it grounds the film, and also cinema is about escape, and so we want to see places that we probably wouldn't normally go, and so it was important to actually be out there rather than in a studio or on a backlot.
And what do you hope people will take away from your film? When they come out the cinema, how do you want them to feel?
Don't take a job as a shepherd when you see it advertised. It's not the most ideal job. I think if they can empathise with some of the emotions the character goes through, and also some of the connections to grief and loss, and how people deal with it, then great. But also, as the ending suggests, it leaves it for the audience to make their mind up about what happened and where it's going, and I think that's important.
And it does feel like there's something very, like in terms of British indie film, being in the outdoors, soaking in the locations and the atmosphere. What do you think is so appealing about these sorts of films?
There's something magical about the UK. I mean, I've been lucky enough in my job to travel around the world to film, doing commercials and things like that. And every time I come back to the UK and you fly over it, it looks like a big film set. It's very green, it's very lush. The lighting's always cloudy, and there's a magic to it, and I think it's obviously with it so much history in the UK, and we've got so much famous culture because we exported it as back in the dark days of empire. It resonates globally, and I think and there's something quite fairy tale about it, and there is something escapist about it. And I mean, the British countryside. In the middle of summer, when the sun's out and the flowers are out and the birds are singing, it's very difficult to imagine anywhere else more beautiful.
And how does it feel to have your film here at London Film Festival? And of course, for us all to be here in person after, a long old 18 months.
It's always been a dream to be at a festival like this, so I'm still pinching myself. I'm over the moon and really looking forward to what people think of the film.
Can you tell us what you might be working on next very quickly?
Yep, I've got a follow-up. It's not quite it's not a sequel, but it's a follow-up, and I've written 12 other scripts. So, yeah, there's quite a lot of work to do, but hopefully we'll see what next year brings.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for your time and enjoy the rest of the festival. Thanks a lot. It was brilliant to talk to you.